Morning, folks. If we can everybody find your chairs, that'd be great. Just to answer the question, yes, the hat does come right off.
I'm going to stand next to you.
That's great. Do you have specific things you want me to do?
No. Here's Brian.
Well, welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to our final day of the conference. Very much appreciate, again, everyone being here. I know some of you got flights to catch and bags to pack and things to do. I get that. But this is a very important part of our conference. Dr. Smith has prepared some material that he said he could speak all day on, but he only gets 20 minutes. So we're going to just see how good he does with that. But I know Brian will do great. His information is outstanding. Brian does a host of different things. And we are very fortunate to have Brian as a member of our organization, but also as a sponsor of our organization. So if you would, please give your close attention to Dr. Brian Smith.
Thank you, Kevin. I hate podiums, so I'm going to stand over here. A lot of you have heard me speak in the past. I am a huge supporter of ICA. I get asked why, because I'm not really your stereotypical ICA guy. I'm a management consultant. I run companies for a living. It's what I've always done, but I happen to buy into Omni Containment Systems and learned about ICA 10 years ago. This is my 10th year. I think it's my 20th ICA convention. So, and it's been amazing for me. I enjoy it. If you've read the things that I write about standards, policy and procedure, you know what my passion is for those things that go on underneath the hood of our businesses all the time. Recently, I just had released our new book, Find the I in Team, and everybody always asks what the I is. It's not individual. The name of my company is Individual Advantages, but the I in Team is influence. And it's amazingly important to you to understand the influence that we have as ICA members, the influence we have in the market. And guess what? We are done, as Chuck said yesterday, under the hood. We're taken for granted. People don't even know what we do. Customers have no idea that they're safe because the work that we and our crews do in the night and how dirty it is. But what you need to understand is that's influence. The most responsible, the thing that we are most responsible for as humans is influence. You can argue all day where there's other things. Raising children, influence. Mentoring your employees, influence. Meeting somebody in the hallway who's having a bad day and you smile at them, influence. Influence is our largest responsibility as people. How we act and how we treat people is that influence. And what they take away from that interaction can alter lives. It can change industries, it can change countries. It can change the direction of the smallest things or the largest things. How your children grow up, how nations are run, all by influence. And it all starts from somebody else. There isn't a single human on the planet who is who they are without influence from somebody. We are all influenced in our lives from birth. And we become part of that influence. Your childhood doesn't define who you are. Chuck said that yesterday. But it's part of your foundation. My book is called Find the I in Team because it's about finding who you are. How were you influenced to be who you are today, and what does it mean? How do you apply that influence to be the best you can be to the people that you influence every single day? And why am I writing a second book, Be the I in Team? It's about how do you take that influence that you just learned about yourself and be influential? How do you go to work as an ICA member or as a KEC provider and give positive influence? And what kind of influence has somebody like me had on an industry like ICA? Well, I'll tell you, there's one area that I've had, or Omni's had, a huge influence. Many of you have heard me over the years get on my soapbox about hinging and about service hold open retention. And I was told, get off your soapbox. We have chains. That's service hold open retention. Stop talking about it. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not from our industry. When our super hinge came out, it was one of the pieces that we had. It's part of NFPA 96. Service hold open retention is in the code, period. And hold open means hold open. Retention means to hold in place. To hold in place for service, to hold in place for cleaning. Now, I'm not going to keep talking about that, but what I am going to talk about is what's happened since I got on that soapbox 10 years ago and drilled into everybody and kept talking about it in a consistent way, never faltered, no matter how negative people got, no matter how much I was challenged, told I was wrong. The whole industry is changing. Barry's got service hold open retention on his hinging systems coming out. He even created a service hold open retention piece just to hold his fans in place. GreenHack has a new fan hinge out. What's it have? Service hold open retention. Captive Air, service hold open retention. Did they have it before we started on that soapbox? Nope. Did I create competition for my own company? Yep. Do I care? Nope. Many of you know that I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with Barry and teach about our industry. Why would I stand there and work with my competitor? Because guess what? I believe in capitalism. I wouldn't be a management consultant if I didn't. I couldn't be a management consultant if I didn't. So, influence comes from our actions. Has anybody read my article in this journal? Do as I say, not as I do? Not yet? Please read it. Are you a boss or a leader? Look, I've had 18,000 clients. I have 1,300 and change now that we work with every day. I own 42 companies, from 100% to 10%. It's never do as I say, not as I do. It's none of those companies. I could not effectively run those companies if I had to manage my companies that way. I influence the people that work for us to be the best they can be so they can run the companies. I influence the people that come to us for advice to make them the best they can be. I challenge them. I ask them to look deep inside themselves to answer questions. I still make mistakes, but I own them. I write about a mistake I made in my book at an ICA conference where my company made a mistake and slighted somebody else, and I stood in front of many of you and fell on the sword because I'll own my mistakes all day. Just like Chuck talked about. So the reason I'm starting this for our presentation, which is an hour long, is that we have influence. What Gary's going to talk about when he comes up here is about the influence, yes, that we have at Omni, yes, that we now have at Tegras. What we're doing for the market, what Omni is doing for ICA. What influence can you have through companies like Omni and Tegras and these other great vendors that come here and support you, that have been here year after year after year? It's as much about them as it is about Omni. Yes, I want you to buy from us. Yes, I want you to help us develop new products. Every product we have came from you. Kevin Chihuahua started in this industry by inventing the grease guard. Now, like it or leave it, say what you will, it's effective when it's used properly. Do I like it personally? Nope. He's my competitor now, but not Kevin, grease guard is. But he's now a member of us, right? And I want him to be a member of us because he's a big part of our industry. My point is Kevin started that how many years ago? Influence. It changed the way we thought about grease containment when he invented that product. Hinging came from you, grease containment from you, our access panels from you. Every product that we have from you. You send us feedback. What do? We change it. Influence from you. I travel around and visit some of you. You influence how we do business. You can do the same thing for ICA. You can do the same thing for our industry. There's over 6,000 KEC companies in the United States. Just wrap your head around that. How do I know that? Because I spend a lot of money with my company doing research to know who they are and where they are. Now, do they all do a good job? No. Do we all do the best job all the time? No. But think about that there's over 6,000. Omni sold to over 1,400, 1,300 unique KEC companies last year. There's 165 of them are ICA members. The rest aren't. What kind of influence can we have on those people to join this association and raise the influence we have as an organization? We have to lead from the front. Taking the high road is the hardest place to be. Like Chuck said, saying no to business because somebody doesn't want to do it right, it's really hard to do. But if you don't, what kind of influence could you have on somebody's future if you let something go by that you shouldn't let go by? Our job is to protect life and property. We do it through cleaning, but that's our job, is to protect life and property. It is not to clean. Cleaning is a function we use to protect life and property. It's that simple, and that's the whole reason why I am so passionate about ICA. Because it sure isn't about what we do for a living. And I don't think it is for most of you. Who wakes up in the morning and wants to go get dirty all day? And if you convey that to your teams, to those guys that work the horrible hours, you will see a shift in how they approach the influence that they have every day that they go to work. If you just think about what influence means, then I think you will see how much positivity can come out of what we do and how much change can happen in our industry. So now I'm going to have Gary come up and entertain you with the life of Omni and Tegras and talk to you about how we have developed our products and how those products are good for the market, not just the influential part of it, life and safety, but also how you can increase your bottom line, have new products, have new solutions, and have new choices so that you can have refined influence for your customers. This is Gary Weldon with Omni Containment Systems. If you haven't met him, he's been with us for a few years now. I've had the honor of knowing him for 15 years. Our children grew up together. Our friendship's so good, he moved his family from Oregon to Illinois to join our team, and we'll be together for a lot longer. So I'm going to turn it over to Gary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, warm and fuzzy there at the end with Brian. You cue up the OCS. As Brian was talking about, it's all about influence. One of the biggest things that you guys have done with us is influence the thought process of the development of our products. I think we're getting there. Okay, so as we all know, every rooftop out there is going to be a little bit different. Everything that we see, whether it's a downblast, upblast, industrial sets, little oddities like this, reduced sets, we have solutions for all these. Most of the hinges that you see on the market aren't going to be set up so that you can adjust for these eventualities that you see on a rooftop. One of the biggest things that Omni does, not only do we listen to you, but we work hand in hand with you to help you out to find solutions for each one of these problems. If you send me pictures of any of these little scenarios, we're going to go into how to send the pictures and everything later. But if you send me these pictures, I'm going to be able to help you with hinging. Makes your job a little bit easier, makes them compliant, and it just makes the overall safety. So all roofs are different, so are containment solutions. Here you're going to see a couple of different solutions that we have. The grease gutter up in the top left. The bottom left, I don't know what that is. Anyways, we're going to just move forward. SRSs for industrial sets, standard upblast, single-sided grease containment, 360 grease containment. We're going to have a solution for each one of those. Over 7 products that we have that are going to help you do this. One of the biggest things that helps me help you do your job is when you send me a picture and I'm engineering a solution for you, I need some help with this. I think we're just going to skip this PowerPoint. Yeah. Anyways, we're moving forward. One of the biggest things that we see is I'll get a picture that's a close-up. All I see is this much of the curb and the fan on top of it. What I need to be able to help you out with this is maybe 8 feet away, all of the different projections that we're going to have from the roof, whether there's a J box that's on the side of it, where the whip's going to be coming out of the rooftop. If I can get these different things, we're going to know where or how we're going to be able to install a system. A picture down inside of the fan will show me grease output. If you know the last time that you cleaned it, it's also going to be able to tell me whether we need a high capacity system, a low capacity system like our grease boxes. You have it's basically like 2 factory catch trays together. We've got 3 catch trays together, and then a sidekick, which would be like 3 of them stacked together. Nope. Wanted to show a couple of things with the hinges. The biggest thing with Omni hinges is our ability to do offsets. With major offsets, we can go up to 10-inch offsets. So the offset is like this. You've got the fan that's going over the curb by, 2 inches there. Pictures like this where you've got the tape measure that is showing out will allow us to set up the offset of the hinge. It's going to go directly to you, so it just bolts right on. The profitability of the Omni containment systems, here you've got a grease gutter. MSRP on it is going to be $859.95. Recommended install is $200. With the average discounts that you guys are buying from us, you're going to have a profit per system of $572.50. It's money in your pocket. It's stuff that you shouldn't be walking around. You can make money by installing these products. We're here with free engineering support for everything that you do to help you do the bottom line. The influence in our industry is that to make you guys more successful, to make sure that everything is NFPA 96 compliant. And any questions on the Omni stuff? I'm sorry about the PowerPoint, just went sideways on us. Good, we'll go to Tegras. So as you guys know, and we've been preaching, Tegras is a new system that we're importing from Spain. Omni Containment Systems is the North American distributor for it. It's a completely different concept of what we have been doing up to this point with magnetic scrapers, scrapers in generals. spinner heads. The biggest thing with the Tegras line is it's not for your standard everyday cleaning. If you're just looking at the Tegras line as far as you're going to go into a Burger King and do a 10-foot run where when you pull the filters out, you can see the fan blades up through the plenum, it's not the system for you. There's parts of the system that can help speed along that line with their foamers, but the biggest line is going after the larger that counts with long vertical and horizontal runs. This is going to significantly reduce your time on site. So there's three main components to a Tegras system in order to do the cleaning with it. You've got the iFoam, which is the little screen that you see, the podium-looking piece of equipment in the middle. The one with the reel on it is the Multi-Pro. That's what you're feeding up into the duct system. You need an air compressor to tie into all of that. It is pneumatically ran. So with your foam generator, the brushing system, and air compressor, that is the components. You've got two different styles of foamer. You've got two different styles of the brushing machine and 4 different styles of the compressors. Also, we've got a filter cleaning system. These are the 2 different styles of the foamer. The iFoam Pro has a built-in pressure washing that goes up to 2200 PSI. It's self-contained with the chemical. I think we're going to show. We'll slow down there, Tiger. So the bag-in-the-box concept, you don't have to worry about handling the chemical. It's just going to slide in, drop in. There's a video here that's going to show that here in just a minute. The iFoam Mini is what you're going to use for your fan cleaning, or you can use the iFoam Pro, pull it up into the onto the rooftop, spray down your system, or the fan, spray down the duct if you so desire. So like I said, this is the foam injection system. The 110, which is the most common that we're going to use here, that way you can just roll it off of your trucks, trailers, however your setup is, plug it into a 110 system, 20 amp in most restaurants. It's going to give you the 1500 PSI. A 20 amp, or I'm sorry, a 240 or 220 is going to give you the 2200 PSI. It's all touch screen. It's going to show you your water flow, the temperature of the water, and then also it's the tie-in for your remote control. So as you're cleaning the system with the remote, you can just tap buttons, go from foamer to rinser. And it also controls the Multi-Pro, which is the brushing robot. All you need to do is connect water, the standard kitchen exhaust, or I'm sorry, the standard kitchen water. We did some time studies on this. Can you pause that real quick? The time studies that we found on this is Alex, Brian, and I went and did a steakhouse in downtown Chicago. Hadn't been touched in a year. It was a higher-end steakhouse. Think like a Ruth Chris, constantly busy. Hadn't been touched in a year. We did an 80-foot run of horizontal duct in 10 minutes. We also learned and failed miserably while doing this because it was the first time that, Alex was supposed to be our ace in the hole, but it's Tegras system, and we were learning. So there is a learning curve on it, but one thing that we learned on it, when you're using the foamer, run warm water through it. Your standard kitchen is, 120 degrees? The Tegras system has a safety shutoff that will stop the foamer from working at 120 degrees. So if you run primarily your hot water in it, the cooling or the heat with the foam is going to do the work for you inside the system. That's going to eat the grease. Just a takeaway there. But this is the bag-in-the-box system. It's all self-contained. You have roughly 5 gallons, 5.6. Everything is metric when it's coming over from Spain. But 5.6 gallons in this. The Consumption rate on this, that's one of the number one questions that everybody asks us on this. At a 12-inch duct, one bag of grease will do right at 786 feet of 12-inch duct going one direction. That's in the regular mode. There's an econo mode on this. That'll go out to almost 1,500 feet of 12-inch duct. Well, with consumption depending on how much you're working the system back and forth to work in the grease. Go ahead. So it's much like a soda machine where you just clip it in and it just pulls consumption as you need it. It's a touchscreen interface. See what they are doing there. Pause. What they were doing there is you have the, with the remote and then also with the touchscreen, you can go from rinse to pressure washing, which the rinse is just spraying I don't know what the PSI is off of it, but then you can go with the pressure washing, 1,500 PSI, and then also the foam back and forth. This is the remote that you're going to be able to use the machine off of. You can see it's got the buttons for the rinse and the foam also. You've got a counterclockwise and a clockwise action that you can use for the brushes as it's going through the system. And then a centralizer, which is the little spider legs that extend out and keep the brushing system in the middle of the duct. So you have 100 feet worth of hose to feed up into the ductwork. Of the 100 feet, as you can see, you're probably realistically going to have about 90 feet worth of run that you can do. You've got to get into the ductwork for one. There's still going to be some on the spool. And then as you feed in, there's that 10 feet or so that you're not going to be able to touch completely. This has the Visiogras. That's that screen on the top of it. You can also see the centralizer. The centralizer is what I mentioned earlier that keeps the brushes centralized inside of the ductwork. So it is pneumatic. Up to 100-foot reach. Again, realistically 90 feet. Your video inspection. The good thing about this video inspection on this system is if you have really heavy built-up grease, thick grease, where a normal camera that you're going to feed into it without pulling panel by panel, you can feed this in through that tough grease to be able to inspect the whole thing, and then also afterwards show that you're completely clean. So that's your standard setup. A multi-pro, the air compressor, and then a foam generator. This is the system in a square duct. I know that that's a lot of it. A lot of the videos that you're going to see online are going to be showing it going through a round duct. Obviously, in the United States, we are predominantly on a square duct. The way that we figure this out is if you have a 14-inch duct, you put a 14-inch round brush on it. Then you put a 16-inch round brush, and that's going to reach up into the corners. It's like this. Each system comes with a single brush adapter and a dual brush adapter. But by combining the different types of brushes, with the combo brush, you have a nylon and then a steel bristles that are coming out of it. This is for your tougher, baked-on types of greases. It's designed to fracture the grease as it goes through. The foam gets in there, and as you're going down the length of it, the first amount of foam that you've put in there is doing its work and eating through. You go to the full length of whatever your reach is. If it's 60 feet, at 60 feet, give it 5-10 minutes and start pulling it back. Switch it over to the rinse mode, and it's going to rinse off all of the grease, the foam, and then it kind of acts as a squeegee action as it comes back and pulls all of that with you so that you can clean it out and drain it out. Any questions on this? Jaime? I'm not understanding.
The power washing aspect of it? Is it kind of backward facing to help pull all that soap and everything back?
It's got dual nozzles on the top of it, and what that does is it shoots into the brushes themselves. So like the foam, the rinse, all that, yeah, in the, kind of like in a car wash. It's spinning like that. It gets into the bristles, and then that's what's applying it as it goes through. Did that answer it?
Yes.
This is a little in-depth showing how that dual brushing system works. And we're going to be doing some time studies here very shortly, and we'll be able to have more of the data with you or for this. What we're seeing right now is we asked for some in-depth things from Tianova in Spain. They've got several partners. A square duct that they did had 6 filters, a 6-filter hood. I'm doing the conversions into my head, that's why I'm pausing. It was 20 feet of horizontal and then another 30 feet of vertical. They did it with 2 guys in just shy of 4 hours. The restaurant hadn't been cleaned in 2 years. That's one of the more important parts to know about that. You guys can all imagine the sheer amounts of grease that's going to be in there after not being in there for 2 years. Filter cleaning. There's 3 sizes of the filter system. The larger one, the B300, will hold 11 filters. The medium-sized one will hold 8 filters. The smaller one will hold 4 filters. Cleans 11 filters in 5 minutes. The ultrasonic technology will even work with wood fire, the mesh filters. 80-gallon, it's heated with ultrasonic. So you guys are watching that video. We have a client in the Pacific Northwest that is using this particular, the B300. They do a rack for utensils and trays and things like that. He's actually doing a tray exchange program. There's a couple videos on our YouTube page that shows the tray usage. Yep. Yep. I know that you guys have all seen them stacked up when you go in. And so there's the filter exchange programs, but a tray exchange program. Innovative. So off of those, any questions? John? Great question. It'll do one 90-degree turn. Anything more than that, it's going to bind up. The cable that you're pushing through, that 90 feet of cable, it's kind of like you've seen bore punching. The companies that'll shoot electricity cable or anything underneath the road, that hard plastic 2-inch, inch and a half worth of cable. That's what this is made out of. There's 2 air lines so that you can reverse one way or the other by pushing and pulling. There's a line for the coaxial cables so that you can video. And then there is the chemical line so that you can push water and then the chemical through it. With that, it's thick and very strong. So when you hit that 90 degrees, it's going to drag a little bit. Also at the 90 degrees, you're going to have problems reaching that corner. It's not going to work unless it's one of the apex corners. But as we know, every single system is built with a panel at 90 degrees, right? Because that's how they're supposed to be built. Right. Yeah. It's very solid. No, it's no kinking on it. If you get it to kink up, you made that happen. I'm sorry?
What's the warranty? First question. Second question is on the air pump, is that 20, 10, 20?
Okay. Two great questions. I'm going to hit the first one first. Tianova does a 1-year warranty, and then Omni tacks onto that another 2 years. We're centrally located. I don't know if everybody knows where Omni's at. We're in Elgin, Illinois, more or less Chicago. We're just 45 minutes west of Chicago. And that's the warranty center for it. We have a massive amount of spare parts. If something happens with it, we'll ship them out to you next day. Or if it's a major malfunction, we just need to ship the system back to us. We'll repair it, ship it back to you. And then did that answer the warranty part of it? The other part of it was,
What's the electrical requirements for the pump?
there's two different types. All in Europe, all industrial equipment, we've went round and round. Oscar, if you guys get involved with the system, you'll talk to him. He's their big tech guy. We've went round and round and round about American versus European styles. 220 just comes out of their walls over there. And I've explained to them that that's not the standard in America. We're 110. Most commercial or industrial sets will have 220 or 240 in the garages that you can park stuff or plug stuff in like a welder or whatnot. But it comes in two different modes. Obviously, the 220 gives you more power on things like the iPhone Pro. You get 2200 PSI if you do the 220, but you get 1500 PSI if you do the 110. But I mean, I can't imagine that iPhone Pro, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be able to pull it off of a truck and just plug it in the kitchen at 220. Maybe unplug some of their equipment. Anybody else? Yes. Everything is in millimeters, and I haven't quite memorized the entire table. Oh, yeah. The question is, do the brushes come in different sizes? I'm going to tack onto this question with how long do they last, too. But they go from 100 millimeters, which is right at 7 inches, give or take, and then it goes up to 1,000 millimeters, which is right at 40 inches. Yep. And even with the ones where you have the rectangle, as we showed in the video where you can rotate counterclockwise and clockwise, as you're going down that, let's say you are 24 inches by 36, 40, something like that, you are going counterclockwise to go down one side of it, and then as you come back, you're going to go clockwise one way, counterclockwise the other way, and it keeps everything up against the wall. The how long do they last question that I added onto your question, about 6 months. But the good news to that is you have to buy more brushes, but the good news is now you have more specified brushes, because what you had at a 15-inch brush, now you've got a 14.5-inch brush. Any more questions on that part? So the longer you're in the business with the Tegras system, the more specialized you are. I'm not familiar with this.
So a lot of ductwork, especially longer runs, will have sprinkler heads in it. If you hit any sprinkler heads with the nylon brushes.
I've only done one system with it. This next month, we're going to be doing more time studies, and we'll have more information for that. I would think with that, I've seen pictures of them. You guys are by far, the experts on how the systems are built. I'm learning as I go. I've only been with Omni 5 years, and as Brian was talking about influence, you guys have all influenced me. I didn't know anything about it 5 years ago. But I would imagine what you would have to do is go through, it's going to take a little bit longer, but go through and kind of walk that off so you know what the length is. Maybe mark the conduit, go up to that point, bring it back, and then come back from the other side. Just like you do your standard scraping by panel, but you'll be able to skip more. I don't know how often maybe I'm just talking out the side of my mouth here. I don't know how far the sprinkler heads are spaced. Barry?
Less at every panel because they have it designed where the inspection panel or the sprinkler
Yeah.
is also at the same interval as the painting.
Okay.
So you have to
The question was, does it work in sprinkler duct? Sprinkled duct.
There should be an access panel everywhere you've got a sprinkler head. Right. Sprinkler heads have to service. My thinking on that would be, if you don't mind.
No?
My thinking on that would be that's the place where you would pull it out and reinsert.
Mm.
Go farther down the duct. They've got to be able to access those sprinkler heads to service them, whoever's doing that. So there's got to be a lift panel.
Right, but,
That'd be a great place to pull it out.
my question is, if we're saying the purpose of this is to not have to access every point because it will travel 90 feet, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 7 or 8 sprinkler heads potentially that I'm gonna have to encounter over that distance.
Right.
Can I, how do I account for making sure that I don't crack that head and set off the sprinkler system inside the duct? Or is that something that this may not be able to?
That might be the little side note when I started it. It's not for every system. There's the exception, not the rule. And that may be one of them. But until it's tried, I don't know. Yeah, I forgot what the TR 120 or TR 27, something like that, the European code, predominantly in the United Kingdom, is a little bit different than ours. Their systems are bolted together. They're not watertight. There's a whole bunch of different things. But these are the things, again, that you guys influence us on how things are going. We can go to Tianova and say, this is what we're running into. What's the workaround with it? But to address the going in and out of those with clearance, if you look at this picture, the little knob on the end of it, the orange part, is actually the brush. That little wing nut, the stainless steel plate and the nylon wing nut type thing that is going on there is all that holds it in. So you can feed this in past the sprinkler head, reach in, slide your brushes on, and it takes 30 seconds to change these out. Same thing with like reaching up past the plenum. Obviously, you don't want to mess with the suppression system, but getting up past the plenum, you can do the same thing for vertical rises. Saw another question over here. Yes, no problem with it. No, it's the same thing that as you're going in, clockwise to keep it off to the side of it, and as you're coming back counterclockwise, the rotation is going to keep the brushes onto the other side of it. If it's vertical, you would go with a softer brush like the nylon brushes, just oversized to the top of it. They're very hardy. They're not going to have problems with it. Where you maybe have 14 inches this way and 20 inches this way, you'd put a 20-inch brush on it and just bore punch that guy. How am I doing on time? So any more questions on this? No? Okay. The majority of the chemical is for the foaming agent. It goes on like shaving cream. That's the money behind the whole process. It's a pH 12.7. Is that? I think 12.7. So it's high alkaline. But it's all self-contained. It's not as caustic as some of the stuff that you guys are brewing in the kitchen. It's a little soda flake, Is that all the questions, or I don't know how in depth you want me to go with that? You're going to void the warranty, for one, and then two, you're not going to get the same effect. The entire system is built with putting that shaving cream along the whole thing. It's like us when we're shaving, whatever you use for shaving cream or whatnot, you can do it with a bar soap. You can get the job done. It's not going to do it as well, and you're probably going to have some bumps on your cheeks. Okay. So, not seeing a bunch of questions, I'm going to turn it over to Brian. We're going to go more in depth in the next two segments, 11:30 on the Omni products. Sorry about the PowerPoint not transferring. And then really in depth with the Tegras stuff. Thank you, guys. I don't need that.
So we're going to get out early, but I want to let everybody know that in Florida at the tech show, we're going to have the whole system there. and we'll have demos with the whole system. So we'll also have all of our time studies done over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Those are really important to you. It's where you can look at the time study, look at the video. This system has a camera on the end of it. So as you're cleaning, you can film. As you're rinsing, you can film. And not only is that important to you as you're doing it, but think of that, I'm a management consultant, what you can show your customers is going on inside their systems. What kind of value does that have to offer that kind of insight into what's happening to facilities managers, to building owners, and to restaurant owners? But at the Florida show, we'll have the whole system there. Please challenge us. I love challenges because it makes us be better. It makes us make changes to what we do. If it fails, we'll just own the failure and then we'll move forward and make it better. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're dealing with people's lives. We don't sugarcoat things at our level. Nobody should, but we surely don't. And we take every challenge that we get about our products very seriously. And I don't care if it's the simplest product we have or if it's in my company in developing a policy and procedure that affects other people. So please challenge us. It's the only way we get better. And you should be doing the same with yourself and with your customers and with your teams. Challenge them to be better. Trust me, people step up. Humans in general like a challenge. Yes, there's exceptions and people like to get a free ride or make it easy. But the reality is that we like challenge. We like to see results. There is nothing better as a person than to go and do something and see a positive result. So go out, challenge yourself, challenge your teams, challenge your vendors, and challenge your customers. And we can all be better together. And thank you for allowing us to have this hour of your time. We're going to give you 5 minutes before all the next stuff starts so you can go out and take a break. Thanks again, everybody.